In the future, there will be a vibrant, self-sustaining human civilization on Mars. The high road to Mars is one built on a foundation of gracious professionalism, the bedrock ethos of the first robotics competition. The earthbound dreamers of today, who are working to open the high road to a future Martian civilization, are the ancestors of tomorrow's Martians. I'm Phil Turek, one such ancestral Martian. Look at what I'm trying to do by creating simulated Martian cultural ambassadors to act as positive social influencers to somewhat depolarize society here in the United States. Imagine how much even better it would be if the United States were to bring real Martian ambassadors here. Hello, everyone. Phil Turek here. This is Thanksgiving week here in the United States. I'm currently on the East Coast, and I'm instead of just doing a weekly update, I wanted to share with you what I've been up to these past couple of days, at least one aspect of it, and that's brainstorming different ideas for analog Martian settlements we could do here on the Earth. All right, so, press the button. What kind of people am I planning to have on the first settlement on Mars? So this is just random by me, but there are people who feel like no one should be born in space because we don't know what will happen to them. So how about 12 to 18-year-olds in this first settlement? And let's say that 5 of them are there with both parents and that one is there just with a single parent. For single residents, let's say that we've got 24 single people. Let's say that we've got a dozen couples without children there, so that's in addition to the parents for the kids. So this works out to a total population of 65 people, including the 12 visitors. So my target has been 53 residents plus no more than 12 visitors at a time. Now, what does it take to have, how much area do we need for that many people? So NASA just has a website from their space settlement design studies of the 1970s, where they just used one number and said it's 65 square meters per person. And based on that, you would say, okay, 3,185 square meters will take care of 65 people. But I went about it a slightly different way. I went off to the local apartments.com website for the area that I'm in right now and looked it up. So for a 1-bedroom apartment, it's running around 929 square feet or 86 square meters for an apartment. For a 2-bedroom apartment, that's about 1,200 square foot for an apartment. Now, if you were a senior, you could actually go into a little bit smaller apartment, but let's just use these 2 numbers here for our Martian population. So based on that, beep, beep, beep. Well, I'm getting about 44,000 square feet is what I would need for my analog Martian settlement. And that is just about exactly an acre. So great. That's what we need for the residential part. This is separate from the agricultural part, maybe separate from the business, public common areas of the community, but an acre of land roughly for the residential area. All right, so I walked around a couple of days ago with my camera and took videos of 3 abandoned schools in this area. I attended one of the 3, so I knew about this. And they were built, oh gosh, early in the 20th century, and the demographics declined, and the buildings were abandoned, and then eventually the buildings and the land was sold off. So take a look at those 3 videos, and then we'll get back to here. Hello, Phil Turek here. This building probably at least 90 years old, had been a elementary school, high school, central school in, well, a rural area of the United States. The population declined. The school was closed. 3 high schools were combined into one new one that was built in the 1960s, and even that school is struggling. Here comes a car. Modern windmill in the area. But back to the history of this building. After this population declined, the school was shut down and sold to a gun company. Another car. They gutted part of the inside and turned it into a gun factory for a few years. That business didn't last. One more truck. It's a fine, busy Saturday morning. The gun company sold it to someone else, who sold it to someone else, who sold it to someone else. And with each sale, the condition continued to decline. So the most recent owner, is apparently, allegedly, contemplating using this land as their sort of personal junkyard. So there's no zoning here, nothing that says this can't be done like this, but it is a sad commentary that this building and its land are not being productively used. The countryside here is beautiful. There was a storm last night, and this morning the clouds have cleared and you see these beautiful fields. This is in town. Looking across the street, here is that old building, now in disuse. Flock of Canada geese flying overhead. Again, wasted resources. This is another abandoned school building, this one in the town of Sherwood, New York. It was Emily Howland's school, and it's been sold. The buyer is upgraded the electricity wiring to this, has plans to turn it into a brewery or a winery, something of that nature, according to the rumor mill. I don't know, but it's just another example. This one is in better physical shape than the King Ferry Central School, by all accounts. You can see the windows are pretty much intact here, unlike the other building. And it's just a potential structure. This is an example where, it's now in private hands, and the buyer probably, or the owner, probably has no interest in repurposing this. But it's just an example that says, look, these buildings and structures exist, they're around, and they could be repurposed productively. This school is Genoa Central School. Same school district as King Ferry and Sherwood Emily Howland schools. This one was shut down in the 1970s, I would say. And it's been sold to a private company that is using it as storage for their products. They have their main sales facilities in a different town in this region, and this is just storage. But it's yet another example. This is a central school that has been repurposed. It's in, well, I don't know what kind of shape it's in physically, but it is currently being used as a warehouse for storage. All right. Now that you've seen those 3 videos, This is a Google Maps image of King Ferry Central School, where I measured the distance along one of the dimensions, and it says that's 135 linear feet. For the main part of the building, there was the cafeteria, there was the shop. I'm not counting that. I'm just looking at that main building, which was 2 stories. So that building by itself, out of our target, is about 77% of the desired resident area for residential use. Okay, so that gives you a feel for it. But in addition to these 3 school buildings that I shared with you, I wanted to also point out to you that this is underneath Cayuga Lake, which is one of the Finger Lakes in upstate New York. And what you're seeing here is a map of the Cargill salt mine, which is currently for sale, as I understand it. The idea being they had salt mines underneath this lake. They also had salt mines in Louisiana. The one in Louisiana had an accident where 2 people died. And so the company is now looking at selling off both mines. This one, underneath Cayuga Lake, I've been told is like an underground city. It's huge. And from a newspaper, here's a photograph. I'm not sure how long ago it was taken, but showing one area in this mine. So as we think about a place to use for an analog Martian settlement, this has pluses and minuses. I just want to point out the plus would be, because it's completely cut off from the outside world, we can control the lighting on the inside here of the mine and put it on a Martian day-night cycle. And for the people who are in here, have them live by that and see as part of the experiment. Now, this particular mine, and actually these schools, are all within 20-ish mile range of Cornell University in upstate New York. And so it's been suggested to me this past weekend that, gee, I wonder if anyone at Cornell would like to throw any grant money into this project. I'm not sure which department, would take the most interest in it. Would it be the psychology department to study Martian day-night cycles on this, or to study the cultural values that I'm really focusing on in this project? Would it be one of the other departments? I don't know. But it certainly is food for thought for this week. Here are the references that I used. The SpaceX tutorial is NASA design study. Apartments in the area where I am right now. Map that someone is running of what the Cargill salt mine area looks like underneath Cayuga Lake. And then the photograph from a newspaper showing one of several images that were at that one website of what it's like down there. In other news, I could say, well, I dispatched an email off to the Nationhood Lab. I don't know if the email that I tried to submit on their website actually went off to the Social Progress Imperative. There was no confirmation of it. It just said, click that you're not a robot, and I did, and oh well. And meanwhile, I've discovered that at the local high school here, well, where I grew up, they have they have a National Future Farmers of America organization chapter at the high school. They also have a teacher who teaches emerging technologies, and they also have a teacher who teaches the robotics class there, all that at the same high school. So it's very promising as far as, gee, this project might just tap into people who get involved with it and make it all happen. Happy Thanksgiving.